Next is 64th note subdivisions. Playing 64th notes.
64th notes. So, first of all, I think it's going to depend heavily on genre and tempo. Those are the two biggest determining factors of whether or not you would accent or ghost a specific subdivision. But I also think this is a weird trap that a lot of young drummers fall into, in that they assign like a difficulty level to a certain subdivision, as though 64th notes are just unbelievably hard, or 32nd notes are like insane compared to like 8th notes. And the reality is, all we're talking about is a division of a certain amount of numbers, right? So like saying 32nd notes or 64th notes, all we're talking about is how many times we're like slicing the pie. So a pizza is still a pizza if you cut it 64 times, or if you cut it in half or into quarters, right? It's a more complicated pizza, I guess. But, when it comes to subdivisions of 64th notes, it doesn't have to be complicated. 64th notes played as single strokes are really not any different than than single strokes played in like 8th notes. You know what I mean? It's all the same thing. It's just a different mathematical subdivision. So I like removing the stigma from like those big numbers, like 64th notes, 128th notes, like unbelievable. Like it's not inherently more difficult than anything else. There are just more notes, and that really just means more potential for difficulty. You could fit more complex phrases inside of 64th notes. But for the most part, real-world musical applications of a subdivision as high as 64th notes, or even like 128th notes, it would just be bursts. It would be something along the lines of trap music, right? Where if you had a groove that was very slow, like let's just mouth this out. So if you were like 40 BPM, like boom, ska, tss, boom, like those little, that's 64th notes. It's like a little tiny expression inside of the entire thing. There's no way that, I can't think of a single song where somebody played consecutive steady 64th notes like against the maybe you could find like some super slow trap song where that worked. 32nd notes, you can find that for sure, but it ends up just being like a texture or a little thing that you would use a quick element of. That's what it ends up being. So when you think 64th notes, 128th notes, you're not writing in those subdivisions necessarily. It would just be a gear that you go to briefly in the music, and then you go right back down. Because for the most part, unless you're playing at 20 and 30 BPM, like unrealistically slow tempos, they're just going to be indiscernibly fast, a subdivision like 64th notes or 128th notes would be the next one up. So, but on a purely mathematical basis, there's nothing to like judge them on to say that they're like good or bad. So they're as valid as anything else. I will give them the hard accent on 64th notes.
Yeah, they're so small. Let's call them small.
Small's the right word, sure.
Yeah. Are they
it's a thin slice?
Would you call them necessary? Like,
I would go mathematical there. So I would say if you had $1 and you split it into 100 pennies, like you could say, do these pennies matter? Well, math says, yeah, they all matter. It's not invalid. So matter might be the wrong question. Like they definitely matter. It's more so like, would you ever need to even think about this? And the answer is probably not. Probably you could have a whole musical career and never once conceptually execute a 64th note. That could definitely happen. But you also, if you don't understand what 64th notes are and why they are equally as mathematically valuable as 32nd notes, let's just say, then I think you're also missing something conceptually in how we have this grid of rhythm laid out. Because just how you can take a 16th note and, let's split that another way. Take 8th notes, cut them in half, now we have 16th notes. If you do that to 32nd notes, now you have 64th notes, right? So like from a mathematical perspective, it's just another way to cut the pie. It's equally as valid. But I think what you're kind of getting at is like, are they that useful? Will you ever even touch these? And the answer is like probably not, excluding like trap and probably some higher end metal is when you would genuinely have to have a conversation in a band about specific 64th notes. I guess talk to like certain metal bands. They'll tell you that they've had whole debates over where the 64th note goes inside of this thing. But for the most part, no, it's just, you should have a mathematical understanding of them, but no, you're probably not going to use them. Probably not.
All right. Cool. All right, that'll wrap up back center. Ghost.
Thank you for watching this clip. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're looking to in any way make yourself a better drummer online, which let's be honest, you probably are, that's why you click this video, make sure to click the link in the description or the link that's around here somewhere. Free 7-day trial to my online drum school. You'll find 160 hours of drum lessons there and one of the world's largest collections of drumless play-alongs. Trust me, you will find something you love, and I would love to have you on board. OrlandoDrummer.com. I will see you there.